to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
Happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. And we hope that those of you who have your moms are doing something fun with them today as well. And those of you who are missing your mom, like us, we hope that you can find comfort knowing that you were well loved, and that's how we feel too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we hope you're having a good day. Grab your stitching and your drink, your Coke, or whatever
Drink of choice.
Your drink of choice, and spend some time with us. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eve's going first today.
Yes. Let me put this down so that I can see. So today, while I sit here, I'm going to do some work on the Chronicles of Narnia by Stitching Book Club. I have had some progress since I last saw you. I got some yellow lines done. Just, you know, the name, the word,
Oh yeah.
penmancy.
Yes.
That took forever. So
Oh, I
There's
saw
that.
the back stitching.
Including the back stitch, huh? Nice.
yeah. So here's the thing. I designed a Father's Day chart, but I didn't finish stitching it. This is as far as I got. But I went ahead and put it up on the Etsy shop. Here's what it's going to look like. And it says, "A father's love protects from life's storms." And I thought Mother's Day was a good day to have it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a month away.
Yeah.
But I also included the, if you want to have it say "the father" instead of "a father," changes the meaning slightly.
Nice.
But both do, actually, protect you from life storms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always thinking of when I see emperor penguins, of them huddling together and protecting the eggs or the babies, you know, in the blowing snow.
That's cool.
So
When did you make that?
I've been working on it for several months.
Oh, I didn't know.
But I designed some very difficult water. So,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm proud of it when I see it coming together. I'm real happy with it, and I'm happy with it but you know, I had it render what it would look like, and then when I finish it, I'll switch out the picture. But I'm doing this on Mint Splash with Dot, I think is what it's called. It's a very strange name. But it's, it says mint, but it looks blue. It doesn't look green. And I liked it for this project because of the snow on it.
It's neat.
It makes it look like it's continually snowing, I think. And it's going to have down here a white band where they're standing in the snow. So, well, the white band is actually behind them, but you know, it's supposed to be. They're standing in the snow.
That's cool.
Anyway, if that appeals to you, go buy it. And during Spring Mingle, you know, we talked about it last time, but it was only Saturday. We had the rest of Saturday and all day Sunday to work on it. And I tried to work on, I did a little tiny bit of work on hands-on design. I'll show you that in a minute. But mostly I worked on this. This is Winter Deer by Tiny Modernist. And I have more of the legs done.
You're covering with your fingers.
Sorry. I have more of the legs done. If I hold it up like this, I feel like the light comes through it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there's very, very, very light
You're doing everything.
tan color. Well, yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
But
That's cute.
so I worked
Little
on that.
tail.
Yeah.
during spring mingle because it
Easy to work on.
didn't
White
require tons and tons and tons of counting. Like, where's my hands-on design thing here? This is the other thing I worked on. Hands-on design, the summer basket. This is as far as I've gotten. So I didn't do a lot. Before it was just the diamonds up here and 2 lines. So I did a little bit of work on it, but it's this one right here. And because of the color of fabric, the white that's called for in this doesn't show up. And I auditioned several whites because they're all red, white, and blue, you know, summer. And I finally landed on DMC's white satin, which is a bear to work with. And it's beautiful and it works, it shows up. But when I thought about working with it, I went, nah. And I moved on to a different project. And I have a stack of projects here. No wonder I don't get anything done. That poor penguin. I've been trying to work more on it this week, and I was like, yeah, but I have all this other stuff. So I did some more work on Moonlit Moth by Counting Puddles. I knew that there was another program by Counting Puddles that I liked, and I was like, why do I recognize that name as something of a... They did it's ants on watermelon.
Oh, yeah,
pile.
yeah.
I was like, oh, I love that one.
That Helen is the one that
Helen
D
D's
yeah.
working on it.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it. Watermelon pile, ant pile, I don't know. But here's how far I've gotten.
Cute.
Mm-hmm.
So
You have to understand, I'm very surprised because you have hated moths in the worst way your entire, at least as long as I've known you. Like, hate them.
I do.
So I think it's just really funny and ironic that you're...
Well, here's the thing. There are moths that are beautiful. That doesn't mean I want them anywhere near me. I like looking at pictures of them.
It's so funny because butterflies, they're a little bit that way, but they...
Butterflies are bugs too.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, the way that, for me, what qualifies as creepy bugs is the way they move. Like, a butterfly seems to have a basically predictable path, but moths are random.
They have a path like this.
Cicadas are random. Cockroaches are random.
Yeah.
And they just run all over. Like an ant, you know, ants are annoying, but you know where they're going, and they're all going the same place, and there they go. So you can plan around that. Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to hijack your...
That's okay. I really like the way this, in the pattern, I don't know when you saw the picture, but there's one color goes around like this with the other color, green and blue. Let's just say that is not the most fun thing to stitch that I've ever stitched.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to stitch it like this, and that's how it would make sense, right?
Yeah.
To make sure you're stitching it correctly. But I don't want to stitch it that way because you can't get there from here, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I went back and I was like, oh, I got one of them, I missed one, and I thought about frogging everything, and I just said, you know what I'm going to do? I just stitched right over it with the right color. Because I know it's there, but...
Now we all know it's there.
Yeah, you don't know which one it is. I know it's there. But here's the thing. If somebody comes to my finished thing when I fully finish it, if they go and look at it and say, I see where you covered one up there.
They are not your
They're
friend.
not your friend. You know, just let them move along. Just move along. And this is hands-on design. There's a hair on my garden. There's a hair on my garden. The funny thing is about me doing this is I have the blackest thumb. Plants are not safe around me. Anyway, I enjoy doing this when I am relaxing because it's such a big stitch count. But when I went back to work on it, I discovered, and I did the same thing on another thing I'll tell you about, that there's a different color in the middle of these leaves, and I had stitched 2 leaves completely. And I went, well, that sucks. So I had to go back and take it out so that I could leave the holes. I thought about doing stitching over it again on that one too. But I figured with pearl cotton you would notice.
Yeah.
So I'll go back in. It's just a darker green that's going to be in there. But I enjoy working on this because my eyes are not so tired, you know, with it. So yeah, there's that. And then let's talk about temperature. It was 103 today.
Ugh, gross. It's not a good welcome back to town, I'll tell you that.
It's Friday night, by the way. We normally stitch on Saturday.
Yeah.
But logistically, stitching on Saturday wasn't going to work. So we had, here we are in this middle month here, we had 2 relatively cold days. It was unpleasant to be outside. It was windy and damp.
I heard it rained?
It did rain. Actual real rain. And then it got hot again. And today it was very hot. Now, it only feels very hot because we're not used to it yet.
No, it was really hot.
But we'll be used to it soon. And then really hot is 120, you know, 120. Yeah. So I had a serious case of startitis. I went ahead and, speaking of moths, started another moth here, Luna, by Chelsea Haynes of the Annie B's Folk Art. And it's not a big start, it's a little start. It would be a lot more if I could read a pattern. So,
and that one doesn't have a picture.
Yeah,
no. But this one, this pattern down here, when I read it the first time, I read that the pattern was completely green. It's not. And so I had to frog it and basically start again.
Oh no.
So I would have gotten a lot further. But this is what I was doing when I just went, I don't feel like working on that. I don't feel like working on that.
Uh-oh. Pause.
No, everything I was supposed to be working on, I just really just did not want to do it. I was too tired to work on hands-on design, anything. I didn't feel like working on Narnia. I didn't feel like working on any of these other projects that I've showed you. So I started that.
And then you restarted it.
And then I restarted. But I also started this.
What's that?
This is by Stitchy Crows. It's called the Lavender Grower. And this bird is stitching the lavender. I just think it's adorable.
Let me see.
And this is how
funny.
This is how far I've gotten. I've gotten the needle put in.
I didn't know you had started that.
I told you I did. You're sitting there.
Cute.
Now, the reason I only did these instead of the little designs in between is because that's the lavender color that's over here. So I just think it's really cute. And while we were mingling, one of the people that was in my room she finished whatever it was she was working on. She took this out and finished it like, I don't know, in minutes. It's not a very big pattern. I was like, man, you stitch fast. And the last of my WIPs is, not the last that I need to talk about, mind you, but the last of my WIPs is Perfect Fit Crochet Sock by Olga Polkava.
I still haven't watched that video, I forgot.
Yeah, you've been busy. I am now working on the heel. I'm going to try it on again just to be sure. I could not bend my leg enough today to try it. But just to be sure that I shouldn't have waited longer. But because it was not quite 7 inches, it was 6 and something, but it seemed like it was in the right part of my foot. So I've watched the tutorial video several times. Hopefully I'll understand correctly how to do this. But the beauty of something like this is that if it doesn't work out, you do this and
I was gonna say, the nice thing about crochet is you just go whoop.
yeah. Like I noticed the stitch count was wrong and I went you know, so okay, starting to turn
Cool.
here. She has an interesting way of doing that heel, and I can't wait to see how it works out. Part of me wants to buy this yarn again and have you do it on your sock machine, just to look at them, to see how it works. And then, as I've said before, I'm going to do this for June's cross stitch camp. This is Blue Moon Garden by Carriage House Samplings. Oh, this goes over here. Sorry, I know that's close to the mic. I'm hoping it's not too loud. I was looking for something else and I found this in my stash.
Ooh.
I think that'll look real pretty on that. It's not dreamsicle orange, but I think so I'm going to do it on this. Now, do I need this whole piece? I do not, but I'm going to look at the corners and decide which corner I want to use. Probably this one here. Anyway, so there is that. And I have mentioned that I'm going to do Jingleberry for June's cross-stitch camp. The fabric is on its way from France.
Ooh.
It is in the United States, making its way like this on the way here. So I don't have a fabric yet to show you, but Beth and I went to the attic and I bought the threads. Where's the other thread? So this is the green, this is the gold, but you know me, I need it shiny. So I'm not sure that I'm going to put this together with this or if I'm going to stitch it just like this, and I may do both. Okay, so there is that. But I couldn't walk into the attic without picking up a pattern, and I've had my eye on this since it came out, Nashville this year, the Stitching Parliament. I love these big stand-ups, but I don't think I'm going to do those stand-ups. I think I'm going to stitch them separately, but little. Because I really, honestly, I don't know where I'm going to be, that I'm going to have time or place to have stand-ups. I don't know.
So cute.
But I just think the owls themselves are just stunning.
So cute.
I think it's a very, very cute design, and I buy a lot of hands-on design. Now, my order from Spring Mingle came in. Sorry about the crinkling. My Mad for Plaid bag. I have 2 Mad for Plaid bags that are this big. And I thought that was bigger. I knew it was the smaller of the 2 that were offered, but I didn't want to get the big one that was offered because I was afraid it would be this one, right? And while I like those bags, they're very big, so you need to put big projects in them. And I wanted something to put small projects in. But I have a couple of projects that, like for instance, this berry, it only has 2 threads, you know, and the pattern all would fit in there, you know, so yeah. And I ordered these swan floss drops. They're so cute. Just little swans. There's 10 of them. I can't wait to put thread on.
Let me see. Oh, sorry. Oh, cute. What does that sound? Your dog
That's
chewing
the dog.
something?
That's the dog destroying the other dog's toy. That's okay because he chews on her toys. So yeah, that is me.
You just stick this.
And I'm sorry that I think the iPad's crooked. The dog bumped it and then I put it back, but I think it's still crooked. So
You want me to get
we're
up and
crooked
uncrooked
today.
You want me to get up and uncrooked it?
No, it's fine. We're not that crooked. Here, I'll just move these so they're not. I don't know which way they need to go. This way?
Well, no, it's tilted a little. Well, just ignore it.
So, where to start? I'm gonna start with this. For the spring mingle, I started this just for fun for the spring mingle. Oops. This is Mouse's Snow Day by Tiny Modernist. And this is the 4th of these mice that I've done. I think she has about maybe 10, maybe a dozen, I don't know, of these. I haven't looked at her website to see all of them. I've looked at some of them, but not
Good thing,
all
or
of
you'd
them.
have them all.
Yes. But so this one I got at the attic, but it has a, and it might, I know it came out for Nashville, I think. So I don't know if I ordered it in my Nashville order or if I just bought it individually at the attic. But anyway, it's there. So I started it for spring mingle, and I liked it so much, and I was close to finishing it. So I just kept going until I finished it. So there it is. And this is 30 count. I don't know what fabric. Some kind of linen that I bought it at the attic some time ago. It was just a little. They had some small cuts like this. So yeah, it's there. I have. I think. I don't know. I was trying to remember how I finished the other ones. I think the other mice were flat finishes, on something, mounted on something. So I think that's how I'll do this eventually, but won't be anytime soon. So I'm not finishing anything right now. But anyway, so that's that. I finished it like Wednesday, I think. This past Wednesday on the room here. And then my WIP-GO that I had started on, I started on the 1st of May. And I showed this last week. I had worked on it last week, and I'm still working on it. Because it's so small, it's so tiny, I can't work on it in here because there's not enough light. I need a really, really bright light. And I have a little tiny needle that I'm working with. It's so tiny, you can't even see it on the screen. It's itty bitty. It's like an inch long and thin enough that I keep poking myself with it. But it goes through this fabric very nicely. It fits very nicely in this fabric. I'm doing 1/2 on this, and so I finished the border all the way around, and I did some more on the water here till I got to the end of this thread. So I'm doing it, you know, out and back mostly, and but it's very slow going because it's so tiny. I have to make sure that I'm, you know, getting the needle in the right thing and all that. So it's hard. But right now, I got sick of doing the blue, the water. So I started working on these the sheep. So I wanted to differentiate between these sheep represent my dad's family, and so the sheep with the red on their the little red, I don't know what you would, they're sort of like garlands, I guess, are my dad's sisters and my grandmother and my mom, I think I counted on here as well. I don't know how many I counted, but then the white ones are the male, my dad's brothers and my grandfather. And then over on this side of the river will be another sheep, which is my dad. So anyway, and then there's some little backstitched fish over the river that represent us kids. So anyway, so last time I had finished all the words, and then I finished the border, and I'm working on the interior of it. And I kept, you know, I struggled with, especially after doing that mouse, because I had so much fun with the mouse, and then going back to this, I kept thinking, oh, I don't want to work on it because it's so hard. And once I started working on the sheep, it was a little more fun, but I got tired of stitching with the blue for a while. So anyway, this is what the finished pattern looks like. So that's where I am with that. So I've done Wednesday, Thursday, today is Friday. I did not work on it today, so I've done 3 of the 6 days on it. So I have like 4 more days. So theoretically, if I stitched on it and concentrated.
You did 3 of 6 days?
3 of 7 days.
Oh, you said 6. And
Yeah,
I was like,
said
Yeah,
I was
7
like-
days. 7 days is the
Oh, that's
goal.
a weird thing.
I
So,
thought, but you
math
have
is
4
hard.
more?
So I stitched just like maybe part of the day on Wednesday and yesterday, and not at all today, just because I just needed to not work on it. I just, you know. But if I do, you know, concentrate and work on it harder, then I can hopefully finish it maybe in the 7 days. Maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, that's where
You
that...
just have water left to do, don't you?
No, there's another sheep and some more grass on this side, and then I have all the little
Back
details of the
stitching.
sheep, and there's a little bit of back stitching. So
That kind of tells you I wasn't listening to you.
anyway, that's that.
It was.
And so as sort of a palette cleanser, I worked on my other WIP-GO project, which is Raccoon. The Raccoon, this is the Cottage Garden Samplings here in the Woods series, and this is number, I don't know what, 4. Number 4. And I heard that the designers for Cottage Garden Samplings have another Year in the Woods design set coming out.
Is that what Vicky sent you?
Huh?
Is that what Vicky sent you?
That picture, yeah. Yeah. They released I guess it was a series of pictures and of the woods, of the forest, and then like individual numbers, like, you know, there's going to be one over here and one over here, one in the tree and one down in the grass, and, you know, whatever. So they're all like,
Getting excited.
you know, yeah. So it's going to be fun. Anyway, so this Raccoon is my my other WIP-GO whip. And I did a little bit of work on it. It's hard to see right from here, but it's because it's just gray. So I did there's a, you know, little design up here, And then I'm working right now on the gray in the top of his face here. So I just worked on that today just because I can't work on the Wayfarer Stranger in here in this room because it's so tiny, and I can see this easier. So I've been working on the raccoon. So today is day 1 of 7, so on that one as well. And then he was talking about we went to the attic today. And the other day, I also made a purchase during the spring mingle, and I'm waiting on that to come. I ordered this pattern. I mean, I bought this pattern as a PDF, but then I also ordered some floss drops, and I got the Eiffel Tower floss drops, which I got, and. I ordered. I haven't received anything yet. And I got, what is that thing I bought? They had storklet scissors. I bought a pair of scissors.
We're all surprised.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So somebody had bought some from them, I think. So anyway, these are DMC stork scissors, right? And so the storklet scissors that I bought, I think, are smaller and have a finer point, I guess you would say. I think that's the way I understand what they're like. So, but they're smaller than this, I think. So I'm looking forward to receiving those. I haven't looked to see where they are or whatever. But anyway, so the pattern that I bought is called Beachcomber. And I think this has been around a little while. I don't think it was a spring mingle. Yeah, it's just 2022. So it's been a few years. But I've seen it before and I wanted to buy it. And so when I was looking at stuff for the spring mingle, I went ahead and bought it. I looked at I bought the little freebie, the lavender grower. I got that.
You didn't buy it?
Yeah, I didn't buy it. I got it. But this is the one I bought. This is the Beachcomber. And the quote on it says, "Comb the beach for treasure with me. My heart resides beside the sea." And so there's a whale and some starfish and other shells. There's a penguin, a puffin, a seal. And some clams and other shellfish there.
You're so shellfish.
So shellfish. So it calls for all these threads, and then I bought a few others that I had, a list of stuff I needed. But so for something else that I'm doing, hold on a second. I bought for some other patterns. I bought these threads because I have a running list on my phone. When I look through threads I have, and So anyway, these are ones I bought. These are all Gentle Arts colors, and this is a Week Star Works color. And one, I wanted to get grits, and they were out of that. There's always one that they're out of. But then for this Beachcomber design, it calls for, it says 3 skeins of Lighthouse. This is a Color and Cotton Lighthouse. So I went ahead and bought 3 skeins. I don't know what this is for, but it's, it says 3 skeins. And then it also calls for Dinky Dye's Tidal, which is this. It's a silk thread. And I thought, what the heck, why not? And then the rest are DMC colors. So, and then she also says in her notes, she says, I used a mixture of 3 Mill Hill beads in this project, and so she names them, and that the placement of each color is random and unimportant, just mix it up. So I don't know whether or not I'll do the beads or not.
Why would you do that?
Huh?
Why would she do that?
I think she has them here like sand pebbles or something, you know.
Just to decorate.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll do that or not. I you know, but you know, it's.
You're gonna agonize over that decision for the next 10 weeks, and then you gotta agonize over where to put
and
it.
I don't know if she, like I said, I haven't looked
You're
at
a
the
rule
pattern.
follower. How can you just go rogue and put random beads?
Well, I was gonna say
I couldn't. I overthink
Yeah, see.
randomness everywhere.
they're so they're like indicated at where to put them, but you can use whatever colors you
Go
have.
ahead
So.
and
What?
not French knots, whatever you like. instead
Colonial
of
knots?
those. Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. Anyway, so I think that's me.
All right. So I'm finishing this row. This is all I worked on this week. I did a tiny bit on the hat, my musselburgh hat, but I worked on my aunt's sweaters. This is the front. And
It's like
Hannah,
you've gotten quite a bit done.
yeah, I think, I haven't measured it since I've been home, but Hannah was like, what are you making? And so I told her about it, and she's like, I want an open cardigan. And she's like, I should make that for myself. And I told her how I was making the 3 panels at once. Hang on, I'm going to finish this row while I babble. And she was like, and she goes, and I also like make that idea of making 3 in a row. And I was like, it ain't easy. So as I started to tell her how you have to keep the ball straight, and you have to know where you are, and you have to make sure that you do all 3 pieces the same direction. And if you pick it up halfway through and you go the wrong way, you are going to be in a mess. So, and I said, see, I have this, I don't know if you can see this, my stitch markers to mark the, so I know that if this stitch marker is on the right hand side, that means I need to, that's the right side, and I need to knit purl. And if I have this blue marker on the right hand side, that means I have to purl across. And she was looking at me like, she was, okay, so maybe not for me. I said, just make them one at a time and keep track of your rows. And so she said, will you send me, she's like, will you send me, what the pattern's called and everything. And I sent to her, and I said, it takes 10 skeins. I said, because I was telling her, yes, it's great. It's a bulky weight sweater, so it goes fast. I said, but it takes 10 skeins. And she was like, 10 skeins. I'm like, yeah. Because also bulky yarn doesn't have a lot of yardage. So anyway, so this is the front panel. This is also the front panel. And hold on, pull this needle out. I did drop a whole row. Not a whole row, but like a significant amount of stitches. And then this is the back panel. And I don't know how many inches I've got on here, because of course it's all also kind of scrunched up. But it's a decent amount. I don't know how, see, I always tell myself I'm going to measure my body parts so I can know exactly what my length is. So you, I think you knit this until they're 27 inches. When I measured it before I left for Boston, it was like 16 inches. So I think I probably put a couple on. So maybe we're close to 20 now. Maybe. I don't have a thing with me. So this is what I'm working on. This is called 3 rectangles, 2 triangles. So as you know, I've said this a lot. You take these 2 front pieces, you stitch them here at the shoulder to the back piece. I'm off camera. Because our camera's all crooked. You stitch them here at the shoulder, and then it becomes like a drop shoulder. So the shoulder will wind up a little bit like this. Then you knit the 2 triangles, and it becomes the sleeves because they taper. And then you sew up the sleeve and then down the side, and voila, you're done. So that's what I've been working on. And that is literally all. If you remember last week, I talked about the musselburgh hat. with that beautiful Poema yarn. It's that gradient brown yarn, which I forgot. I didn't bring the project with me. But if you remember, so I'm now transitioning into stories. Oh, I guess, well, okay, first of all, it's question of the week. We asked last week if anybody was doing Spring Mingle. Did we get, I didn't look at responses. Did we get responses? Let me look. On our question of the week last week about Spring Mingle.
I think we got one.
So that's fine. I'm just looking real quick. Sorry. Yeah, we got 2 comments. But Chris Cook was participating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you see her
I
idea?
should have gone to go look. There's an area where you can go look for people that are signed in,
Oh, okay.
and it tells you where they are.
Oh, all right.
And
Well,
it didn't occur to me.
I hope you enjoyed that. And then we had just another comment saying Christy3023 said that they enjoyed the chat, so that's fun. But so question of this week, I was thinking about this because I just got back from Boston. What is your favorite city to visit? Not where you want to live, not to live, but what's your favorite city to visit? Because having a favorite city to visit is different from having a favorite place to live. So I'm curious, what's your favorite city? And mine is by far Boston. I don't know that I would want to live there. I threaten it all the time. I always say I'm going to open a yarn shop because there aren't very many in a city like that, which is really surprising. I think a lot of them didn't survive COVID. So, so I was in Boston and I visited with my daughter. And it was a really nice time. However, it was cold and rainy the whole time. Almost the whole time. We had like one sunny day. What did I do? I spent the day in the museum. So, but I must...
Which museum?
What?
Which museum?
Museum of Fine Arts.
The one I went to when you graduated?
And I think so. And that's where my daughter works. And so I met an old college friend, and we met there, and she got us into the Van Gogh exhibit.
Oh.
And it was an exhibit of the Roulin family paintings. And it was great. I took a bunch of pictures for you, Eve, of those paintings.
I was going to say, I'm jealous.
And I'll put a couple here up that are my favorites. It was really fun.
When I went there, I intended to go in a lot of rooms, and I went there and I walked into that room that has the Paul Revere paintings and
The
painting
American masters.
of George Washington and stuff, and I went in there and I just sat in a chair and I was just like,
And some of those
They're so
paintings are
big.
so big. They're like as big as this wall. And then
when you see pictures of them, you have no idea of scale.
yeah. And there was, but in the Van Gogh, there were also, in the Van Gogh exhibit, there were also paintings by people that he admired or that he, emulated with his own twist on them. But the reason that these were together as a collection is because of he wanted to do portraits. So this was his study in portraits. And so among the things, because one of the people he was, of course, enamored with was Rembrandt. And there was a Rembrandt painting in there. It was just of a woman. And I couldn't believe how gorgeous it was. I loved Van Gogh, and that's a whole thing, and that's his style. But that Rembrandt painting, I'm like, it looks like a photograph. It just is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling because they didn't know what a photograph was, I don't think, in Rembrandt's day, right?
No.
But yet, like, just amazing. So anyway, that was a fun, really, really cool thing. But I do have...
So what happened to your musselburgh hat?
Well, okay, the reason I wanted to mention it is because of the yarn, right? That's left over from the sweater. So I have a tragedy to report. The day I arrived, my daughter said, that she'd been scrambling for quarters to do her laundry. She needed to do all her laundry. And as I was leaving, she said goodbye to me. She said, I'm going to go inside, go to the bathroom, and then I'm going to do my laundry. And I got into the Uber to go to my friend's house because I couldn't stay with her those first couple nights. And literally as I'm driving in the Uber, in my mind, I thought, I should have told her to make sure she doesn't wash that sweater I made.
Oh, no.
But I didn't, because I thought, she's not going to wash that sweater I made. And I wake up to a text that says, I accidentally washed and dried the sweater.
So it fits a
She
10-year-old.
she goes, please tell me we can block it and fix it. And I was like, not that yarn, baby. So she goes, you should just take it home. So
it fits a 10-year-old now. I'm sure there's a 10-year-old at church that
And
will
she
love
was
it.
like, I'm so sorry, Mom. It's so beautiful. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, well, it's felted. Yeah. So there's no way to fix it. So I thought, well, I have a friend who has a young daughter who's probably like 5-ish, and I'm going to offer it to her. However, also I assume because it got washed with all the clothes, it has a hole.
Oh.
Yeah, on the back. It's got a hole right here. So I don't know.
Is it possible to fix that? To sort of.
Yeah, I can. Oh, this is. Wait a minute. This is inside out. Oh, yeah, I can fix it with just a duplicate stitch.
Yeah.
I don't know what this weird threads
Fuzz. Yeah.
are. But. I don't know what that is.
Poor thing. She
Felt horrible. She was sick about it.
must have been mortified.
And she didn't want to look at it anymore. She was just so sad. So, and I'm like, I said, summer's coming. It's time to make you another summer sweater anyway. So I'll just do it. I mean, this wasn't like it was something she'd asked for or something that,
But it's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's so
It's
pretty.
still pretty.
It's so pretty.
It's just tiny.
It's just tiny, I know. So I'm gonna try to fix this hole, and the problem
Let
is,
somebody else with it.
yeah, the problem is that if I fix it, fortunately I have that yarn.
Yeah.
So I've got to find this color in the gradient, which I haven't gotten to yet, so that's good. In the hat, and then I worry that little piece of thread of yarn will not be felted the way this is felted. I mean, I really don't think that I can, even with blocking, that it would work again. So, because it's just literally so small. So this was the tragedy of the weekend. I mean, of the week, but
You know what this reminds me of? When I was young, it was a few years after my grandfather died. I was probably in high school, I guess, by this time. But when my grandfather passed away, one of the things that I sort of inherited was he had a sweater vest that somehow I got.
I remember
Nobody
that
else, yeah. It was really pretty, and it was like kind of cream colored, and it was wool. It was like lamb's wool. It was really soft, and I loved it. And then one day, my aunt was visiting, and she just like randomly needed to do laundry, and so she just randomly took stuff from my room.
I'll ask you which aunt later.
Yeah, to
I have an idea.
To make her load, I guess. And one of the things she grabbed was my grandfather's sweater, and she threw it in the washer, and it's like
Destroyed.
It shrank, and so it destroyed the sweater, and it was just.
Why do people get other people's? I mean, do they?
She's the same one who.
Do they think they're doing you a favor?
Okay,
like
anyway,
you don't know how?
I don't know if it was.
Don't disparage our family on
It was that same.
Oh, it's not just our family. That
I don't know
does
if
that.
it was that same load or whatever, that I had a maroon T-shirt, an AYS T-shirt, and this same person washed it with several of my other. Was it her? Or was it Mom? Actually, that I think it was inside out, and so you couldn't. I don't know, something, but anyway, washed it with a bunch of other shirts, and so I had like several shirts where the actual shirt didn't get discolored, except the thread on the buttons, because I guess the shirt was like, I don't know, it was polyester or whatever, but the buttons, the thread on the buttons was cotton, and it turned the thread pink or whatever, you know. Yeah.
So, well, that's the tragedy of the week, but no, it was a really nice trip, and I got to see one of my old professors. I got to meet one of her teachers for coffee, and it was funny because she's a knitter, and I shared this story about this sweater, and she's like, she goes, when she was expecting when they were expecting her first grandchild, she said, I made this beautiful, exquisite, like multicolored sweater, and you know, spent all this time on it, and then she goes, and my idiot son put it in the washer. And I asked him, what were you thinking? And I'm like, he's probably just sleep deprived.
No, you know what it is? He's actually helping around the house.
And then I was like, I didn't say, you know, they always say that when you when you make things for babies, you always make it superwash or acrylic for those exact reasons. But yeah, so it happens. And I was like, I told him, I said, it has happened to every soul on earth.
I always tell my cats, you're not helping me. You're not helping me.
This is a wool and acrylic blend, so it will be washable. So, but anyway, so I was like, well, I guess I don't think actually now, because I bought that yarn, that Poema yarn, because I fell in love with the gradient of it and the color of it and the feel and everything. But working with it, I didn't snap when I bought it that it's a single, which means it's just spun one time. It's not plied back on itself, which is why that thing felt it so well, because it's and those kind of yarns are hard for, like, because they pill easily and all that stuff. So I don't think I would, and I'm going to make that hat. I'm already making it, and it's not enough to make another sweater anyway. So I think I'm like, I'll just make you another, or maybe I'll make the same sweater, but just in a solid color with a different yarn that I know won't, you know, be a little easier to knit with, because that also is very slubby. Oh, that was Mark's favorite word. When he learned the word slub, which is like in yarn you get like a thick spot, you know.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's around linens.
Yeah.
So it had a lot of slubs, and well, you could even see, like, it kind of bothered me, but like here up in this white spot, it's got the dark color that it looks like a mistake.
Yeah.
And in the hat, there's a spot that's like a big fuzzy, like it caught some of the brown yarn, you know, in the spin or whatever. So there's like a spot in the white area that's real, like, big and bulky, and you know. So I may make her another sweater that's a summer sweater that's has something more practical. For the other sweaters she does wash them, and they're all holding up just fine.
That's why I was so terrified when I was getting the yarn. Now, yarn for socks, they know you want to wash them, you know. But I was like, I don't know anything about fancy yarn, you know.
Right.
Well, I used to knit with some fancy yarn when I was in Belgium, but it was just because it was there, not because I went looking for it.
Right.
And I was like, that's why I called you. What am I getting?
Yeah, what kind of yarn do I get? So I usually at summers she goes off to an institute. She's not going anywhere like that this summer, but she is going to go play somewhere. I don't think I even told you guys this. She was asked at basically the last minute to fill in for a violinist that had to drop out of a performance. I won't say a festival, but it's like a week in Montana, of all places. And she was recommended by one of her teachers, and they asked her, and of course she agreed to go, even though she's having to cram jam all that new music in. After a big week of performances that she gave, while I was there. And so she was cramming on that music, doing really great, and she leaves to go tomorrow, actually. So, not tomorrow, Sunday. So it's really a great honor, but I'm like, Montana, you're gonna freeze. So, but I'm like, I can't make you well, no, like right now. Oh, like on Sunday, she's leaving. So it's in this like 60s during the day and 30s at night. So yeah.
Isn't it like that over there too? In
What?
Boston?
In Boston, no. It was, well, they had gotten up to the 80s right before I came, and while I was there, it was in the 60s and 50s in the rain and cold and fog. And I saw the top of the Prudential Center one day while I was there. You couldn't even see it. And one time, I went to meet my old professor for coffee, and my friend said she lives pretty close to the school, walking distance. She was like, "Do you know?" I said, "Okay, I'm gonna take off." She's like, "Are you walking there?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you know which way to go?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I got Google Maps and whatever. And when you're walking with Google, when you're driving with Google Maps, you can pretty much orient yourself, and it like adjusts itself to your car, right? So you're like, okay, go down the street, and then you see it turn right. But when you're walking, it gets a little wonkier, and it can't quickly tell you which direction you're walking because you're going so slow, right? And so I'm like, okay, I need to go toward Mass Ave, and I'm like, and I walked kind of like this back and forth on the street. I'm like, I am not going back to her house to ask for directions. I'm going to figure this out. But part of the problem was I could not see the Prudential Center, which is like this huge tower, which is right. I couldn't even see where it was. Like even the bottom of it. It was so like foggy and rainy. And but I finally figured it out. I'm like, okay, it's this way. And I saw a rat. I saw a rat. Oh. It was an interesting sighting. It was, Hannah had a rehearsal, so I went over to the Prudential Center just to do a little shopping and just to see what was there. But, so afterward, I was going to get an Uber back to Hannah's apartment. And she was already way over by her house. And I went over, the Prudential Center is right by the Christian Science Center, which is just this huge open area, right? And there's the buildings there, but it's like a reflecting pool and everything. So, and I decided that it would be easier to catch an Uber on that side instead of like the Prudential Center, like, where, anyway, it just was better. And so I was kind of hanging out over there where it told me to wait. And so I'm standing there, and it's, dark and raining, and all the lights are reflecting on the wet pavement, so you can't really see super well, right? And there's a woman walking by with a little dog.
The doll?
Dog,
oh,
little
dog.
dog, and I see something crossing the sidewalk, and my brain does not compute because it looked like a shadow, but it was moving, and it looked, and I thought, is that a squirrel? And I'm like, why? And, like, you don't see squirrels in the rain on the sidewalks. You see them in the grass and the trees and whatever, right? And I was like, what? And right about then, it crossed in front of the dog, and the dog went. And then there's a little low wall there, and there's lights that point from this little wall down onto the ground. And then I see it go in there, and there was a little crack in that wall, and it went whoop. And by that time, when it was under the wall, I could tell that it was a rat. It must have been like a gray rat, and it was really kind of fat, and it went into that hole, and I was like, "That's a rat!"
But there's a
And my friend at work today, she goes, "Oh, at least we don't have rats." She's from Philadelphia, so she knows East Coast rats, but she's like, "Oh, at least we don't have rats here." I'm like, have you talked to so-and-so about the storage closet here? We do have rats. But they're not every day rats.
There's a, in the first X-Files movie, there's a scene that takes place like, I don't know if it's an alley or a street or whatever, but where Mulder's like, I guess, running down the street or walking down the street, and you see a rat go running by, and they Chris Carter, the writer, the director, he called it his lucky rat because I guess it just randomly ran across the street.
I've seen a few in Boston, but that was my first one.
When I lived in Little Rock, one day I was driving home and I saw something run across the street ahead of me into the rain gutters, like running across and went down into the gutters, and I thought, are those dogs? And no, they were what do you call it? Raccoons.
Oh,
yeah. It was like, because I thought at first they were dogs. I thought, well, no, are they cats? What? And then I like the hump, the shape was wrong, and I realized.
Yeah. Hannah has raccoons that come to her house garbage, and she thinks they're charming.
Trash pandas.
But here's a picture. I didn't post anything on Instagram or anything, but here's a picture that the one day that it didn't rain, we were walking down the sidewalk and saw this snail. Look at him.
Oh yeah, I saw Hannah's picture of him.
Yeah. And so I sent this to my husband. I was like, we invited him to the concert. Yeah. But it was nice there. It was beautiful. Had lots of good food. Hannah took me to a bunch of places. This one place called Galway House, which she was like, this place is for the people. And you can get a hot dog basket for $8, which is like 2 hot dogs and fries, and I don't know, it was really good food. Just very simple, but that lady who's seating you, don't you mess with her, she'll kick your butt. Like, you don't mess with her. Because when we got there, it was pretty busy, and there were 2 empty little tables near the door, but she wrote her name down, and then she was back and forth serving. She was like the only one there, like serving, and we were standing there, and Hannah's like, I don't know why she won't just put us at this table, why can't we just sit there? And I'm like, do not sit where that woman does not tell you to sit. Hannah goes there all the time, but even I could tell. Like, it's my first time here. I know you don't cross that lady. So, no, but it was really good. So, what was I going to say?
I remember one time I went out with a friend of mine. His family, his parents were missionaries to Taiwan. He always said, I have a little made in Taiwan stamp on my butt. But so he spoke Chinese, and he's like the like whitest, averagest person and so to hear Chinese coming out of his mouth, it's kind of funny. But anyway, he and I had gone, I don't know what, to the movies or something like that, and there was a Chinese restaurant in the mall that, you know, and so we went there, and they had a tiny little reception area, and so we went in there and we sat down, and I guess they were kind of understaffed or something, but anyway, so we sat there waiting for to be seated, and other people came in and they took them back and sat down, and people came in, and so we're like sitting there and like, what's going on? And so finally he spoke to them, but he spoke in Chinese. And so boom, we had a table. And so then we were sitting at the table, you know, and looking at the menu, and people going by and not taking our order. And so again, he spoke to somebody, and boom, the manager was there taking our order. It pays to have, you know, friends.
Well, because he could tell what they were saying about you behind their back, behind your back. No, I was going to say, on my way out, craziest thing ever. I went from here to BWI, and because I left it, oh wait, I have to tell you the worst story, the absolute most horrific thing. Be very careful when you fly and you have to be at the airport at 3 in the morning. And even though you did all your laundry, remember how I said I've done all my laundry, remember? Remember I said that? So I won't be packing at midnight. Well, I was. And I was like, it was after midnight, and Eli says, when do you have to leave for the airport? I said, about 3. He goes, so in like 2 hours? I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, fine, I'm just gonna finish packing and take my shower and then just leave. Like, whatever, I'll sleep on the plane. So, and here's my dum-dum. Here's what I did. I had my rolling suitcase, and I just had a little bit too much stuff. Because I had her gifts, and I didn't want, and then I needed a couple pairs of shoes, because I knew it was going to rain, and I thought, I don't want to have just one pair of shoes that's going to get soaked. Right. Plus I had dress shoes that I didn't wear. Anyway, so I was like, I'm going to take, I have a little duffel bag. But then I was like, but it has Hannah's notebook in it. I don't want to check it to have it get crushed. And so I'm like, well, it's not that big. And I had my big backpack. So in my backpack, I put my purse, and I put all my snacks and everything. So it was heavy. And then I was like, well, that duffel bag, it's just like, you know, this big, right? I'm like, it can fit in the overhead, and it has a shoulder strap, so easy. So I get to the airport, and here's how Phoenix Airport is. The A gates and the D gates are on this side. The B and the C are on this side. And when I mean this side and this side, what is it? A mile? Right?
It's long.
It's really
It's a big airport.
So I didn't print my boarding pass. I had it on my phone. And I go and I check my suitcase. And then I put the strap on my tote bag, and I have my backpack. And I look at my boarding pass. And because I had not slept, and it was 3 in the morning, I see something over here. I don't acknowledge it. And then I see an A in the middle of the thing. And then over here on this side, I see 31. And I'm like, okay, my gate is A31. So I literally did not see this side, okay? So I'm like, okay. So I go to the A gates, and I go through security, and I put my backpack on and put my shoes back on, and I have my thing, and I'm like, okay, A31. Here's right here, right through the gates is A1 through 6 or whatever it is. And then you get on the thing and you walk, and then it's the next set of A gates, and you get on the thing, and it says something, A20 something to 30. And I'm like, and I still don't look again at my thing. So I'm like, A30. did they make another gate? Like, so, but it is far. And if I could say a bad word on here, I would say it's that far. And I go and I turn the corner and it still says A30, not 31.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, A30 is after you turn the corner, all the way at the end, right? So I go, because never do they think to do it this way, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, they do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So anyway, I go all the way to A30, and I'm about to go up to the gate agent and say, "Is someone playing a joke on me?" And I'm looking like, no, there's no A31. All the way I walked and by this time, and even like I was like hurting, my shoulders were hurting, it's so heavy. So I stop and I pull it out. And this thing that I had ignored over here said C3.
You'd have been there right away.
And so I thought, okay, maybe it's A and C and B and D. No, it's A and D on this side of the thing, and B and C are way over there. Now, I could have possibly, I didn't want to, it wouldn't have mattered if I'd have gone out of security. I didn't want to do that. But you can get around if you walk back and then walk all the way around. But then I did that, but then I came out on the B side, and I had to keep going to the C side, and then it was right. But
So you
by
walked
this,
you
and
walked
when
like 5 miles.
when I realized it, I had half an hour to get to my gate for boarding, and I was hoofing it. And if one of those little drive carts had come past me, I might have hired them. Oh, and of course on the way back, the people mover was not working. And I had stopped finally to take a break when the C gate, my gate hallway was in sight. And then there comes one of those little carts. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to walk. So I get there finally. I'm schwitzed, right? I'm like all hot. And my heart is unhappy. And I finally get on the plane, and I'm just like, my heart is like, because I have palpitations, and so it just like irritated it. And I was so exhausted. I was sleep deprived, which is why I read the thing wrong. And then I'm like, okay, so this is 3 a.m. Now, I always take my medication in the morning, and I knew I needed to do that, but I couldn't on the plane, so I was like, when I get to BWI, I'll go and I'll take my medication. So, we get in late, and I see that we're landing at the same gate we're taking off from. But there's like a 20-minute turnaround between when we land, or like a half an hour, right? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like you have to board as soon as you land. Mm-hmm. Maybe 40 minutes. And I'm like, is this the same plane? Like, why is it not a connecting flight? If it's the same plane, the same gate, if a turnaround of half an hour. Like, what? And so, but it had 2 different flight numbers. Mm-hmm. And they didn't make the announcements if you're going through to Boston. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, what is going on? I'm like in the Twilight Zone. And I have been sleeping, but I'm like, that was the dog.
I took away the toy she was breaking, and now she found another one.
So that was a funny sound. So I get up, but that's kind of how my day went.
Bleeping
That's
out a bad word.
Right, exactly. So I get off.
You asked somebody?
I get off the plane, and the gate agent was right there, and I was like, "Is this the same actual plane that's going to Boston?" And she said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, why did we have to get off?" She goes, "If the flight numbers changed, then you have to. Everybody has to get off." And I'm like, I didn't say anything to her, but I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because I had a good seat. So
Like, and why did they change the flight number?
I know, and so I was able though to go and take my medication and come back, but I wasn't able to eat anything. I wasn't like, it was just, so it was good. I had some trip snacks with me, but I'm just like, it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, and so then I had to get her back on the plane. Fortunately, that was a short flight, but it was crazy, 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 crazy. And then, but talking about when you said it sounded like it beeped out a bad word, it made me think of this story from 1,000 years ago. A friend of mine, she had some young kids, and one day, I don't know where they were, I think they were in church or something, a small group, something, and the kids were there with her and her husband and a bunch of other people. And they were praying, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was you know how smoke detectors beep or something. There was a beep happening somewhere in the vicinity of this meeting, and afterward, the little boy says this, Mom, why were people saying bad words? Because he thought that in real life there was beeping out bad words. I think about that. That memory lives rent free in my head.
Oh goodness!
So that was a crazy morning.
I had to put a Band-Aid on. This girl's like, I have a little cut, a paper cut. I couldn't see it. But she's telling me. So I took a Band-Aid, I put it on, and I thought about putting a Band-Aid on your heart.
Oh, I need you to put a Band-Aid on my heart.
I had the triplets that I used to babysit.
Yeah.
One of the boys said that, but I don't remember what happened, and he was crying about, and I guess, you know, in their family, when, you know, if you had an injury, you know, you get a Band-Aid or whatever, and he was crying and he says, I want a Band-Aid, and the mother goes, for what? He goes, for my heart.
I had a friend who had a little boy who got stung by a bee, and he was crying, and he was like, call the police. Same little boy was going through drive-through with his mom, and when they got up to the, you know, she ordered back, and then they got up to the window, and the girl was serving his mom. He says, is that the stupid one, Mom? Because I guess they were like, that's so stupid.
We should probably go.
Yeah, we should.
It's 11 o'clock.
I gotta go. I gotta get ready for tomorrow. I gotta work, even though it's Saturday. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're having a great Mother's Day and that you got a lot of stitching done while we sat here and goofing around talking about crazy airplane flights. And we're so glad you spent the day with us, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.